welcome to this podcast episode. Today we have a special guest, Florian Morata, who is a French entrepreneur. And we met each other through Oksana Dubrovina on one of her Facebook groups. And we met there. I noticed that Florian is making a very good literature review blog in a very interesting fashion, and that got me interested, and I contacted Florian, and one thing led to another, and after a few rather lengthy messages over Facebook, we became acquainted. And this is my first time talking to Florian. So Florian, welcome to this podcast. Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
And my very first question would be, what was your idea to start that literature review blog, and where do you think you're going with that project?
That's a very interesting question. Let's start, make it simple. I started this online website as a way to force myself to make a deep and insightful summaries of the books I was reading, because until this I was reading, taking notes, but everything was private. Mm-hmm. And to force myself to put it online forced me to dig deeper in every books and learn more about the same subject. So that was initially for myself, to force myself to do in that direction. And the second use of it is to meet like-minded people who will share the same interests and enthusiasm about whether it's entrepreneurship, lifestyle entrepreneurship, or more recently into investing, and more specifically deep qualitative investing, but we'll have opportunity to talk more about that. So yeah, it was for myself to understand better and to meet like-minded people, essentially.
Yeah, wonderful. And where did you get the idea for the format in which you review the books? I find it absolutely incredible that you have the one-sentence summary at the very beginning, then you have the key takeaways and so on. It's such a huge time saver. And obviously, before I buy a book, I spent a lot of time reading reviews, reading the back cover, and I found out that the content you're producing in this way is so much more valuable.
Oh, thank you. So actually, I was exactly like you. I was a user first. I was like you when I was wanting to read book, because maybe we should start with the first thing is when we want to learn, there is so many books out there, and especially I would say in the last 20 years, there is an exponential number of new books, but the vast majority of these books are not very good quality. And therefore, it forces us to be very selective, because reading a book, it's at least for me, it's several days, to get into it and extract the juice of it. So if I spend too much time reading the wrong book, I would waste my time, essentially. So like you, I had to do to look for online summaries and reviews and notes about the books I might be interested in reading, and then to be able to pick only the one that will give me the more value relative to the kind of things I want to learn or solve at the very moment. Therefore, I was already a kind of user of these services. And the one sentence summary, for example, I found it in, I don't know if it's 4minutesbook.com or something like that. I don't know if it's this one or another website that is famous to make book summaries. And I was like, that's brilliant. That's exactly what I need. But I need it into a whole new category of books, not just the general books, the bestseller of Amazon, but specific books about investing and stuff like that. And I just copy-pasted this idea, and I tried to also copy-pasted another idea from another summary book, which is to make only bullet items list, and not because I could also have dig into long paragraph explaining what it's about in the book and what I like and not like. But I think it's not exactly what I was looking for when I was looking for review. I wanted to have a clear idea what's going to talk about point A, point B, point C, point D, and then I can say if the book is going to be interesting for me, what I want to do or not. So at every level, I try to be as going to the essence of the book, summarizing as much as possible, and try to be as short as possible. That's the essence of a summary. And so that's basically how it was. I gave birth to this project, and I continue, of course, reading. I do usually have long session of reading and then long session of publishing. Well, the project is relatively young. It's like 6 months. I'm reading on this subject for more than 15 years, but it's only recently that I put things online, because previously, as I said, it was like I had like 600 pages of notes on all my books. And also I wanted to have a place to centralize everything so I can come back to it. And myself, I read myself my own summary sometimes to get back into a subject I did not read for quite a long time. And so, yeah, well, whatever. That's how the project was born.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how did you become interested in investment literature as such?
First, I'm in entrepreneurship for 15 years, around that. I've been I was more into private equity at some point, meaning buying whole companies with partners. I was working in London with, it was small companies, let's say between 1 and 5 million euro. So compared to Google, it's nanoscopic, but it's bigger than individual small businesses. And I was working with partners on that field. And later on, since I also have still some business coaching clients, I accompany entrepreneurs, international entrepreneurs, to grow their businesses. Some of them ask me questions about what to do with their cash and how to invest. And some of them brings ideas that was not good ideas, like should I invest in NFTs and stuff like that? Like, I mean, highly speculative assets, which is fine as long as you know very well what you're doing. But the kind of people who are asking me that, I had no idea how the whole market was. So I said, this is not for you. And at the same time, I was like, let's dig into it, because initially it was not for me. It was to help my clients. What should they do with the money without being in private equity? Because private equity deals are, let's say, if it's not your job, it's definitely you can hardly put like only 10,000 into a company. It doesn't work like that in private equity. So I was looking for a solution for my clients, and then that's when I started to dig into more, how can I say, conventional, like the value investing. You buy only shares of more, even you do very small company, I know, but I guess like your main investment, what's the market cap of this kind of company you're in?
You mean my personal investment?
Yeah, your personal. Yeah, you invest. It's like you told me it was a tiny one.
You can say it's a micro cap. It's a company of 200 people, and it's very, very small cap, but it's publicly traded. So
but just the market capitalization, we're talking about 50 million, 100 millions, 200 millions.
It's under $1 billion. So.
The general. So just to say that even what we call micro cap in the regular investing world are or several order of magnitudes larger than the deals I was making in private equity. So it's different companies, different requirements. So I was looking at the books on the literature on the subject. That's how I dig deeper into the Warren Buffett universe. That's when I discovered also Charlie Munger's this philosophy, which both fall in love with the way he thinks, and that's how it started essentially.
And you also mentioned that you're an academic and you're teaching at a university. And first of all, I have no idea what you're teaching about. So that's my first question. And the second one is, how does this investment philosophy fit into that? So can you connect these two worlds for us?
Yeah, well, I need to be, I was a university teacher, but relatively briefly, like for a couple of semesters, I was not a long-time teacher. It's more like I was an entrepreneur and I was teaching, and I had I need to precise that for 10 years, I had a software engineering company making custom software for big corporations. And I sold this company many years ago. And because I was working in this company, I had accumulated skills in this universe. And at some point, a position was opening into university about teaching. Oh, there is a cat besides. He wants his 15 minutes fame on TV. And so I was saying, I was already knowledgeable about the computer programming universe, software engineering. And that's what I was teaching, software engineering from students that were like in France, we have baccalaureate, which is, well, I don't know the equivalent with the US, but it was like 22, 23 people, 8 years old people. I was teaching them specifically web development and software engineering applied to online services. So that's what I was doing briefly as a kind of an academic, if I can say. How do I connect that with the world of investment? Not directly, because what I like the most about value investing, it's more specifically deep qualitative investing, the kind of thing we are doing. It's more about business strategy. That's the part I love the most. Understand deeply the customers, the suppliers, the whole the market, and be able to say if one specific company has better chance or lower chance than the competition to survive and thrive for the next 5 to 10 years, let's say. And this is this aspect that are, you can hardly do it with only numbers. You have to dig into the psychology, the human aspect of business. This is the part I love the most because it correlates a lot with what I did in the private equity world, which indeed is highly connected to being an entrepreneur in the first place. So that's I started as a freelancer, moved into build a bigger company, sold it, then move into the private equity, and then move it into the regular investment, and that's the connection about my lifeline, if I can say.
Yeah. So this reminds me of that Warren Buffett quote that he needs to understand the companies he invests in, which is understandable by like everyone. That's not a huge wisdom, but then he adds that he means he wants to understand the economics of it, which is something totally different, right? Like most many people say that they understand, I don't know, iPhone, they have an iPhone, they like an iPhone, so they invest in Apple, and that's completely missing the point, because he as far as I know, he maybe doesn't even have an iPhone. He just understands the economics about it. And I read somewhere that he chose to buy Apple the moment when he witnessed his friend losing his phone and being very sad about it. So he understands the economics about it is just so strong. And so this reminds me about what you were talking about, your investment philosophy. It reminds me of this quote very well. So I want to chip in with that. And
absolutely.
Besides your teaching and your literature review, you also do other, I don't know if I should call them side projects or not. One of them is your networking project, right? So could you talk about these other endeavors you have?